Senator Friends.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that further proceedings under the roll call be dispensed with and the Sergeant-at-Arms be instructed to bring in the absent members.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, will you be so kind as to stand? Today's chaplain is Reverend Jeff Hansen, retired, from the Spirit of Hope United Methodist Church in Golden Valley. As usual, members, following the prayer, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you bow with me? God of all, as Ramadan begins for our Muslim neighbors, we also happily acknowledge that a new season has begun for all of us, a season of awakening and renewal, of your world opening up, stretching out, coming to life all around us. And we are so ready. We have been snowed under, iced in, wind blasted, cold enclosed, frozen in place for what feels like forever. We are so ready for the promise of newness that this season of spring offers. We are so ready, are we not? Ready to emerge from our winter groggy grumpiness, ready to stretch our legs and expand our spirits and breathe deeply, ready to open our minds and hearts to growing sunlight and deepening insight, ready to thaw out, limber up, and move into new venues of thought and being and lively interaction with each other and the awakening creation. We are ready, gracious one, to enter into this season of life and hope, beauty and possibility with joyous expectation. No longer so afraid that we'll slip and fall, but anxious to join you on this wondrous walk with ally and opposition, with the agreeable and the difficult, with those near and those distant, because it is springtime in Minnesota, and you are making all things new, even us. Yes, indeed, even us. So may it be. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, members. The Secretary will take the roll.
Abler, Anderson, Barr, Bolden, Carlson, Champion, Coleman, Swadzinski, Dames, Dibble, Dornick, Draheim, Drazkowski, Duckworth, Diedzik, Eichhorn, Farnsworth, Fateh, Frentz, Green, Grunhagen, Gustafson, Hochschild, Herr, Hoffman, Housley, Howe, Jasinski, Johnson, Klein, Curran, Kroon, Kunish, Kupek, Lang, Latz, Liskey, Limmer, Lucero, Mann, Marty, Matthews, Mayquaid, McEwen, Miller, Mitchell, Mohammed, Morrison, Murphy, Nelson, Umuver-Baton, Pappas, Pa, Port, Pratt, Putnam, Rarick, Rasmussen, Rest, Seeberger, Utke, Weber, Wiesenberg, Westlin, Westrom, Wickland, Zhang.
Members, pursuant to Rule 14.1, the following members will intend to vote under Rule 40.7. Senator Diedzik, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Mayquaid, St. Louis Park, Minnesota. Morrison, Deep Haven, Minnesota. Seeberger, Afton, Minnesota. And Westrom, Alexandria, Minnesota. Members, a quorum is present. As usual, members, if you want to follow along, I'm looking at the Senate agenda. There's also an addendum. It is dated Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023. Members, we will begin with the second order of business, executive and official communications. The following communications was received. Members, please make note, no action is required. Members, we'll now move to the third order of business. Messages from the House. The Secretary will read the message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following House files herewith transmitted. House file numbers 156 and 366. Signed, Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Members, no action is required. We will now proceed to the fourth order of business. First reading of House bills. The House files have been given their first reading and referred as indicated. Members, will now move to the fifth order of business. Reports of committees. I am now calling on Senator Friends for a motion to adopt committee reports.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee reports printed in the agenda and the addendum be adopted with the exception of the reports pertaining to Joint Rule 2.03. And Mr. President, I request a roll call.
Roll call requested, roll call granted. The secretary will take the roll. Member, please vote. Senator Bowden, for those voted under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report that Senator Dietzick votes aye.
Senator Dietzick votes aye.
I report that Senator McQuaid votes aye.
Senator McQuaid votes aye.
I report that Senator Morrison votes aye.
Senator Morrison votes aye.
And I report that Senator Seeberger votes aye.
And Senator Seeberger votes aye. Members, please vote. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There have been 43 ayes and 15 noes. The motion to adopt prevails. Members, we will now proceed to the sixth order of business, second reading of Senate bills. The secretary will read the Senate file numbers.
Senate file numbers 1417, 682, 2251, 2495, 2597, 2734, 2678, 10, 2265, 2128, 2315, 1486, 1862, and 1370.
The Senate files have been given their second reading. Members, we'll now proceed to the seventh order of business, second reading of House bills. The secretary will read the House file numbers.
House file numbers 745, 975, and 1440.
The Senate files have been given their second reading. Members, we will now proceed to the eighth order of business. The bills listed on today's introduction calendar are given their first reading and referred as indicated with the following changes. If you're interested in following along with the changes, you can look on Senate bill introductions. Please go to page 3. You will see Senate file number 3049. That bill has been referred to the Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety. As I indicated, members, the bills listed on today's calendar, introduction calendar, are given their first reading and referred as indicated. Members, will now proceed to the ninth order of business, which is motions and resolutions. We will adopt the author's motion as one motion. All in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. The individual motions are as follows. Senator Young.
Oh, yes, Chair. Mr. President, I move that Senate File 2973 be withdrawn from the Committee on Environment, Climate, and Legacy and re-referred to the Committee on Energy, Utilities, Environment, and Climate. It is my bill, and I have talked with both chairs, and they are okay with it.
Thank you, Senator Young. Senator Young moves that Senate File number 2973 be withdrawn from the Committee on Environment, Climate, and Legacy and re-referred to the Committee on Energy, Utilities, Environment, and Climate. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senate Resolution 27 will be referred to the Committee on Rules and Administration. No action is required there. And remaining under the order of business and motions and resolutions, Senator Friends.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bills to be made special orders for immediate consideration. Members, the list is on your desk. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Friends. Number 94 on the special orders, House File 45, Senator Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm here today to present House File 45, which is Veterans Restorative Justice. The original bill was passed in the last biennium with bipartisan support, and it's been a wonderful tool. Basically, if a veteran commits a crime, but there is a correlation to something that happened in the military, for example, untreated PTSD, they can take part of this process and actually get the help they need and not be criminalized, basically. Great bill, but in practice, it needed a technical change because some of the language was unclear to the judges, and especially for the veteran, they want to know that correlation if they're going to be able to be in this process before they have to defend it in court and before they have to enter a guilty plea. They want that surety of knowing if this is available to them. So this is a technical fix. I asked for it to be expedited to the floor because there are actually veterans in the pipeline today waiting to hear on this and waiting to hear if they're eligible for this. So I am kindly asking for a green vote. This passed through the House. Bipartisan, unanimously, same thing with committee. I think it's a great thing we can do today for our veterans. Thank you.
Any additional discussion on House File 45? Seeing none, third reading. Oh, did I miss one? Nope, third reading.
House File Number 45, a bill for an act relating to judiciary, establishing an assessment process to determine if current and former members of the military charged with certain offenses are eligible for deferred prosecution.
Third reading. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll. Senator Howell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I urge people to, I support the bill. I urge a green vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
And sorry about that, Senator Howell. I didn't see you. Any additional discussion? Senator Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I strongly support this bill as well. This is something that I got involved in a few years ago, and it is a major issue with homelessness for some veterans where they have issues that have driven them to minor crimes or maybe even sometimes major crimes, and the judicial system knows how to handle it and puts them onto a program that when they're successful and they come off of it, and they do not have convictions on their record, and they can go to get rental housing. They can qualify for a lot of things that they would not qualify if they had serious crimes on their record. So this is a very, very good bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing no additional discussion, the Secretary will take the roll on final passage for House File 45. Members, please vote. Senator Bowden for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report that Senator Dietzig votes aye.
Senator Dietzig votes aye.
I report that Senator McQuaid votes aye.
Senator McQuaid votes aye.
I report that Senator Morrison votes aye.
Senator Morrison votes aye.
I report that Senator Seeberger votes aye.
And Senator Seeberger votes aye.
And, Mr. President, I report that Senator Pa votes aye.
And Senator Pa votes aye. Senator Jasinski, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Western votes aye.
Senator Weston votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 64 ayes and 0 noes, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Senator Westlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to present House File number 244. This is the Electronic Wills Act. The Uniform Law Commission approved a Uniform Electronic Wills Act in 2019, which has already been enacted in Colorado, North Dakota, U.S. Virgin Islands, Utah, and Washington. And the Minnesota Uniform Law Commissioners, working with the State Bar Association, have worked to prepare this bill that will essentially permit testators to execute an electronic will and allows probate courts to give electronic wills legal effect. It's currently not permitted by law. The testator's signature does have to be witnessed contemporaneously, either in person or it does allow for electronic notary. The pandemic did show how important it is for a testator to be able to sign a traditional paper will in front of remote witnesses viewing electronically as they're signing, keeping everyone safe. But this will allow us to completely make the process electronic from beginning to end. It will encourage more folks to prepare a will. It solves interstate problems of recognition, and it does modernize our laws and bring them into conformance with other options that people have to execute documents electronically. This does have the support of the Probate and Trust section of the Minnesota State Bar Association. It also has the support of the Legislative Committee for the State Bar Association. The Uniform Law Commission has reviewed this draft and agreed that it incorporates the Uniform Act as it was passed in 2019. This has broad support, and I would ask for a green vote.
Any additional discussion? Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it, and appreciate Senator Westlin bringing this bill forward. It strikes me as a very common sense bill. I think it's a good one. And as I was reviewing the bill, specifically, the notion or the idea of a will, it got me thinking a lot about some of the constituent communications I've received from folks who are trying to plan for their future, trying to plan their will, trying to plan for their beneficiaries, and trying to look at their financial situation and decide what's going to be best for them and what's going to be best for the loved ones who they ultimately bring behind. And inevitably, a part of that conversation turns to, as we're crafting our will and planning for our future and for when we pass away, what are the laws that the state of Minnesota has on the books compared to other states? And what makes it more advantageous, potentially, to consider other states when someone's crafting their will as opposed to the state of Minnesota? I'll give you one example. I had a woman reach out to me and say, "It absolutely breaks my heart that the tax environment and other things in Minnesota have become so unbelievably not conducive for folks that she and her husband, who are grandparents to children here in Minnesota, were considering having to look at another state, a state like Florida, to declare as their residence, so they could save just a little bit more money and ultimately leave more behind for those loved ones." But she was torn because she wanted to stay here as much as possible to be with those grandkids. And while I say this is a great bill, I think it could be better. And Mr. President, I can see you know where I'm going with this, so I'll get to that point sooner rather than later. But the reason we're having this conversation, and the reason why, as someone's planning their will, made me think about it, was a part of what we're looking at doing here in the state of Minnesota in terms of spending and in terms of our budget. And very shortly, I'm going to offer an amendment, Mr. President. But what we have to let seniors like her know, and what we have to let the people of Minnesota know, is that before the state of Minnesota gets theirs, it's important that we prioritize the people of Minnesota getting, or in some cases, keeping what's theirs. So, Mr. President, I would like to offer an amendment that seeks to eliminate the tax on Social Security to improve this bill and make it that much better for folks who are planning for their future and completing their wills. I offer the A2 amendment.
Senator Duckworth offers the A2 amendment. The secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Duckworth moves to amend House File Number 244, the first unofficial engrossment as follows. Page 1 after line 6, insert. This is the A2 amendment.
Senator Duckworth to the A2 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Point of order, Mr. President.
So what purpose do you rise, Senator Westlin?
I'm sure Senator Duckworth can anticipate this, but under our Rules 35.2, the proposed amendment is not germane. It is not germane because it relates to a substantially different subject, and it is intended to accomplish a substantially different purpose. And I would request that you find the amendment to be out of order.
Senator Duckworth, briefly to the point of order. Advice.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will briefly explain to you why I believe it is germane to this bill, and then I will respect your ability to make a determination as to whether or not it truly is. As I mentioned before, what led me to think that this amendment is germane to the bill is we're talking about people planning for their future. We're talking about them crafting their wills. And here's what we need to do in our state to help people with that. First and foremost, we need to eliminate the tax on Social Security. That's what this amendment would do, and I hope people can support that. We've talked about it at length. A bill was moved to the floor of the Senate. It hasn't been taken up yet. Hopefully it will be soon. That does that. And the other reason, Mr. President, why it is germane to folks who are planning for their future and crafting their wills is the state or the governor and members of the other party have put forward budget targets. And it's very hard to see any room within those budget targets, tax relief or a reduction in taxes for the people of Minnesota to include for those who are planning for their future and crafting their wills. Folks, we exist to serve the people of Minnesota. We exist to prioritize their concerns and put them into action. It's not our job to say we're going to take all of the money that the state has been able to collect and use all of it.
Senator Duckworth,
Yes, Mr. President.
I've been quite kind, so I'm going to ask that you finish up, please.
I will, Mr. President. I'm nearly there. What I'm trying to underscore is this, Mr. President. I think that this amendment is germane to the underlying bill because it is seated in a priority that the people of Minnesota have told us. They think it is a priority for them to be able to plan for their future when they're crafting their wills in a way which makes it easy for them to stay in Minnesota, to be amongst their loved ones. And right now, there are other things happening in this legislature that do the opposite. So it's incumbent upon us as legislators, I'm almost done, to listen to the will of the people and put their priorities into practice as we're planning state budgets, and part of that includes the full elimination of the tax on Social Security and giving a good chunk of that surplus back to taxpayers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Westlin's point of order is well taken. Any additional discussion? Seeing
Mr.
none.
President,
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to appeal the decision of the President.
All right. Senator Pratt is appealing the ruling of the President. A green vote indicates that you support the ruling of the President. A red vote says you oppose the ruling of the President. Senator Klein.
Roll call, Mr. President.
Roll call requested. Roll call granted. Seeing no additional discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members, please vote. Senator Bowden, those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report that Senator Dietzig votes aye.
Senator Dietzig votes aye.
I report that Senator May-Quade votes aye.
Senator May-Quade votes aye.
I report that Senator Morrison votes aye.
Senator Morrison votes aye.
I report that Senator Seeberger votes aye.
Senator Seeberger votes aye.
And I report that Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye. Senator Jasinski, those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Western votes no.
Senator Weston votes no. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 34 ayes and 33 noes, the decision of the president is upheld. Any additional discussions? Third reading.
House File 244, a bill for an act relating to uniform laws, adopting the Uniform Electronic Wills Act.
Third reading. Any additional discussions on House File 244? Senator Kuhn, I could not remember your name. I almost called you someone else, not because I don't know who you are. Senator Kuhn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. I rise in support of House File 244. This is a good bill. It probably won't get much media attention, but it will make life a little bit easier for Minnesotans. It modernizes our statutes of wills and keeps us consistent with the Uniform Probate Code, and it will make people's that are in difficult situations, it will give them more options to do what they need to do, and like I said, make their life a little bit easier. So this bill, along with some other bipartisan judiciary bills like it, are important to Minnesota, and I look forward to working on similar bills in the future. And I'm glad to be a co-author on this bill and thank Senator Westlin for bringing it forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing no further discussion, the secretary would take the roll on final passage of House File 244. Senator Bowden, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report that Senator Dietzig votes aye.
Senator Dietzig votes aye.
I report that Senator May-Quade votes aye.
Senator May-Quade votes aye.
I report that Senator Morrison votes aye.
Senator Morrison votes aye.
I report that Senator Seeberger votes aye.
And Senator Seeberger votes aye.
And I report that Senator Pa votes aye.
And Senator Pa votes aye. Members, please vote. Senator Jasinski, for those voting under Rule 40.7, when you're ready. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Western votes aye.
Senator Weston votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Latz.
Mr. President, I move that Senate File number 1824 be withdrawn from the Committee on Finance and re-referred to the Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety. This is my bill. Both chairs have agreed.
Senator Latz moves that Senate File 1824 be withdrawn from the Committee on Finance and re-referred to the Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, we will now proceed to the 13th order of business, announcements of Senate interest. Any announcements? Without objection, the following senators will be excused from today's session. That would be Rarick, 11 to 11:20, Latz from 11 to 11:20, and Coleman from 11:15 to 11:25. Any announcements? Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Say, if you will indulge me for a moment, just wanted to touch base on yesterday's release of budget targets. We didn't have an opportunity to talk about that, so I just wanted to take a few minutes just to talk about the majority party's release of their budget targets with the governor and the House. You know, this bill is a glimpse of the impact of the problems that we see with the one-party system, with nearly $18 billion in surplus. The Democrat Party here is growing government by 30%. This is massive growth in the size and scope of government, and taxpayers will ultimately be footing this bill. Well, the state budget is growing. Guess what? Minnesotans' budgets aren't. They're getting hammered with raising energy prices, with rising food bills, with inflation hitting every single part of their daily budget. They're hurting. And while Democrats talk about tax relief during their campaign, we're seeing the truth that they aren't just interested in tax relief. No, in fact, we're not seeing the promised tax relief that the campaigns were promising. The targets say there's $3 billion of tax relief in committees, but we don't know what that is. We don't know what tax increases are accompanied with that. But what we can tell you about is the budget will include these tax increases. A $17 billion surplus simply wasn't enough to satisfy the big spending the way that single-party control had in mind. Folks, this is scary. This is a runaway train of spending in Minnesota that Minnesota taxpayers will be paying for years and years to come. Folks, we have to remember who we're working for. We're working for Minnesotans. We're not working for Minnesota government, and this budget is a reflection of Minnesota government growth. We need to come together. We need to take time. This is the opportunity to do that. Pare down this budget, pare down these targets to represent the needs of Minnesotans. Give Minnesotan tax relief. We saw that tried again today on the Senate floor. Unfortunately, once again, party line votes did not pass. Folks, we need to refocus. This is a time to do that. Senate Republicans are here to do that, and I hope Democrats will join us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Friends.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Johnson. What Minnesotans wanted was a budget that supported education, a budget that supported working men and women of Minnesota, and that's what this Senate and the House and the governor are going to deliver, working together, both parties. But since you mentioned it, we have $3 billion in the budget targets for tax cuts. I know sometimes we've talked about which tax cuts, and I think your point is well taken, Senator Johnson. We haven't seen the specific proposals, but the reason we put out targets at this time is that you will, and you'll have an opportunity to say what you think of them, and hopefully we'll bring out some bipartisan solutions on those tax cuts. It probably goes without saying, so I'll say it anyway, Mr. President. Had we not taken down the bonding bill and needed that money for cash, we would have more money available for tax cuts and for the other priorities of Minnesotans, but here we are. And with that, Mr. President, I'd just say the majority party looks forward to working with the minority party in the Senate to try to come up with a budget that every Minnesotan, north, south, east, and west, old, young, will be proud of. And with that, Mr. President, I thank you.
Senator Friends, any other motions?
As a matter of fact, Mr. President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until Thursday, March 23rd at 12 noon.
On that motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails and the Senate is now adjourned.